Republican leaders working to round up enough votes to avoid a government shutdown as lawmakers get set to vote on another short-term spending bill today. We've been talking about the breaking news with it all this hour, talking with Republicans and Democrats. Last going around, Senator Rand Paul voted against the continuing resolution on the grounds that it included a long-term extension of that controversial surveillance program. But now that FISA, as we call it, is not in this new bill, will he vote yes? Well, there he is. I can ask him now. Kentucky Republican Rand Paul is with us now. Senator, how will you vote to extend the continuing resolution to keep the government open?
Well, I think we spend too much money. I mean, this year the deficit will be close to $800 billion. When I ran for office, I promised voters that I wouldn't continue to add to the debt. We have a $20 trillion debt. I don't think we should keep spending money this fast. The spending bill that will come before us will actually exceed the spending caps. So I will introduce a budget point of order that says we're breaking our own rules here, guys. You know, year after year, Congress will set their own self-imposed rules, spending caps, and we keep busting those caps and the deficits keep getting bigger. I think it's inexcusable. So I'll be a no vote because I'm not going to vote to continue to put the country further into debt.
You are a no on the continuing resolution. What does that do on the Senate side of all of this? Will you need Democrats? Do you think it will fail?
You know, they seem to always cobble together Republicans and Democrats who think it's very important that government be very big and be involved in a lot of our lives. And I'm for smaller government. I'm for a constitutional government that balances the budget. But they always seem to find votes. And it's interesting that the problem with the debt, the problem with unbalanced budgets is a bipartisan problem. In fact, some of the loudest voices in our country right now for increasing spending are Republican voices. But I'm one who says, look, we shouldn't run these kind of annual deficits. We have to do something about it.
Are you going to put forth things that deal with keeping the military paid? Are you going to put forth things that keep CHIP, the health insurance for poor kids, going forth? The continued resolution calls for 6 more years of this. How will you push this forth so that people don't get harmed by this potentially not passing?
What I would propose is that we spend money at the same rate we spent it last year. So this would be keeping spending levels identical to last year. If you do that for 5 years, you actually balance the budget within 5 years. If you just keep spending steady, you don't cut any money, you keep the spending steady for about 5 years, you'd balance. That I would vote for. So it's not that I'm against all the spending. I'm for paying the military. I'm for having an adequate national defense, a good national defense, a great national defense. In fact, I think military is a priority for our country. But at the same time, if you'll ask many high-ranking people in the military or even enlisted people, do you think we could jeopardize our national security by having so much debt? Yes. Insolvency is a debt to our security as well.
Well, and on the House side, you've got people from your own state. Representative Massey, I was reading this morning, feels the very same way that you do in the House. Will be a very interesting next 30 hours or so. Meanwhile, the Senate today, a short time ago, actually, voted to renew a key provision of FISA Section 702. I know you were very against this, that barely advanced past debate earlier in the week, 65 to 34 today. You really wanted to filibuster that. What do you say now that it's headed to the president's desk?
I think it's a mistake. I'd advise the president, if he asked me, is to veto it because the program itself is well intended. And I'm actually for the program that spies on foreigners in foreign lands. Accidentally, incidentally, unintentionally, a lot of Americans, millions of Americans are in this database, and I don't think we should spy on Americans or listen to their conversations without first asking a judge for a warrant. This is the Fourth Amendment. This is why we fought the American Revolution. So, yes, I think the Bill of Rights and American privacy is very important. I think you can both spy on and prevent terrorism without giving up our basic American freedoms. So I was a no vote today, and if the president asked, I would say veto it and let's come back next week and fix it.
But it's interesting because you and the president were equally yoked on this issue just a couple of weeks ago. And I'm curious to know what changed because the president said, that this is the way that at Trump Tower things were kind of scooped up on him and others. He was against FISA Section 702, but then it was made clear from Speaker Paul Ryan of the House that no, this doesn't have anything to do with Americans. You're laughing, but what is the truth here?
I think you got mixed messages. The truth is, it's not supposed to have anything to do with Americans, but unfortunately, millions of Americans are in the database.
Did you call the president?
You know, I've had my conversation and I can only do what I can do, but I do believe that a part of the president agrees with me that we need more oversight of this intelligence community. Look, we have 3 high-ranking FBI agents that were conspiring at work to try to prevent Trump from being president. So that alarms me. All 3 of those FBI agents can search the database that we're reaffirming here. No, I think if the president and I had a longer conversation, I could inform him that the Speaker of the House sold him a bill of goods, that there really isn't a reform in this, and that guess what? President Trump is still at risk from rogue members of the intelligence community searching and listening to his phone conversations.
I'm going to do some homework on when you get another bite at the apple, because everything has to be renewed. Senator Rand Paul, a couple of no's on the continuing resolution for the government and on FISA. Thank you for joining us.